Please join us every week for a new episode of Understanding the Human Condition with Dr. James Flowers. Dr. Flowers and his most admired mentors, respected colleagues, and VIP guests will share valuable insight into underlying health causes, conditions, and issues. These in-depth yet approachable episodes are a great resource for both private individuals and industry professionals. Our esteemed host, Dr. James Flowers, is one of the most recognized and respected names in the field of chronic pain, mental health, and substance use disorders, both nationally and internationally. Dr. Flowers is the founder of J. Flowers Health Institute, located in Houston, Texas. For more information about J. Flowers Health Institute and its concierge services, go to jflowershealth.com or dial 713-783-6655. And be sure to mention this podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Understanding the Human Condition. I'm your host, Dr. James Flowers, with a severe case of bronchitis, by the way, so pardon my voice today.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Robin French. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Flowers.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited about today's podcast. Finally, we get to talk about something that connects us all: music, philanthropy, and helping those in need during difficult times.
Yeah,
and
something
of course,
special to my heart is this group right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we're going to discuss the benefits of music on our mental health.
Yep. So we have an incredible guest joining us today, Debbie Carroll. She's been honored in Nashville as one of the most influential women in music, which is amazing. She's the vice president. Tell me if I get this right. She's the vice president of Health and Human Services for the Recording Academy and Musicares, Debbie Carroll, and she's a licensed clinical social worker.
That was perfect. I'm actually not with the Recording Academy. We're separate entities,
yes.
but you got the title correct.
There you go. Perfect. All right.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
You know what, Debbie? I would love, I've, of course, peripherally been involved in Musicares through the treatment side of it and knowing a lot of you guys, both in California, New York, you in Nashville. I love Musicares and what you guys do. And I want the audience to know whatever you're willing to tell us about Musicares. So why don't you give us all a little synopsis of Musicares?
Okay, perfect. Easy topic.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to say thank you to you and all of the generous support that you provided our clients through the years, and Musicares through the years. That we really couldn't do what we do without the support and generosity of people such as yourself. So thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
Really from the bottom of our hearts. But Musicares, we are a safety net for the music industry, and we provide a variety of health and wellness services to music people in times of need. Our main goal is to keep the music industry healthy and well so they can continue to do what they do best, which is providing and creating music that the rest of us know and love. And so we've been in operation since 1989, and since that time, using the pandemic as an example, but this year in particular, we've obviously been very busy.
Yeah.
We will end this fiscal year, which is the end of July, distributing over $27 million to over 36,000 music people in need.
Wow.
And to put that in perspective, over that, and we launched our COVID relief efforts in March of 2020. But in a typical year, our last landmark year, and we've scaled and grown every year since I've been with the organization. But we served 8,600 clients with about 6.3 to 6.5 million. Wow. So it's over 300% plus volume than what we typically do. And of course, we did so with the support of the music industry and so many organizations and entities that could see that the music community was suffering and really in dire need, and supported us profoundly in a way that we could help others. We announced our effort with $2 million, $1 million from the Recording Academy and $1 million from Musicares, which is significant. Yet we knew we could probably be criticized somewhat that, $2 million, what's that going to do? And as I continue to tell our powers that be that $2 million helps 2,000 people, and if that's the end of the game, we've done our part we can possibly do to help support people. So, but we began vetting 500 applications per day. It was really, we were drinking from a fire hydrant.
I remember so well you know, I'll use Shireen as an example over in Los Angeles. I remember one day we had a conversation, and it was just normal conversation like we're having right now. And then I think I didn't hear from her for a month, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No, I'm not okay. I'm going through, you wouldn't believe what we're going through." And oh my God. And y'all's lives just in March of 2020, along with the rest of the country, but in particular because of the importance of what you do, was just flipped upside down. What was that like for you?
You know, I'm a glass half full type of person.
Yeah.
So, and also if there's a challenge in front of me, I will do whatever it can. Maybe behind the scenes it gets a little messy, but outwardly it looks like everything's buttoned up.
Sure.
And we had responded to Hurricane Katrina in
Mm-hmm.
'05. Again, that was a long time ago, but yet we quickly built an infrastructure to help support that need.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, through our Katrina efforts, which lasted a year or more, I think we assisted, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 individuals. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't a nationwide pandemic or worldwide pandemic. It was very centralized to one location. So when we began discussing this and doing something and responding to the need, I said, well, we've got this. We'll make sure that, we can certainly
Mm-hmm.
build a stronger foundation to support this. Yet I didn't have a clue really what that volume would look like. And
Yeah.
so there was a lot of stops and starts, but yet we got the job done. And
Yes.
that, incredibly proud of the fact that we were able to do that.
Yeah.
Again, with some messiness behind the scenes,
bet.
in all honesty, but who wouldn't expect that? But we did, we were able to get
Yep.
support to people quickly.
Absolutely. I think a misconception that I hear all the time out in my field, which is substance use and mental health, right, is that Musicares helps musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much more than that. It is so much deeper. And so I'm always educating people about it. But you said music industry. Expand on that a little bit. Who does Musicares support?
Our mission is to support as many people as we possibly can within our mission. So
Yep.
we provide funding for bus drivers, lighting tech guys,
Yeah.
crew, merchandise managers, merchandise support, songwriters, musicians. Really the scale of what we define as music industries. If somebody's been working in the industry for at least 5 years in some capacity, and or have 6 commercially released recordings or videos, and those can be back of the bus,
Sure.
independently recorded. But for the pandemic, we also realized that the roadies, the crew guys, were most vulnerable because all of the live events were shutting down. So we reduced that eligibility to 3 years, with also the caveat that individuals with a year or more experience were encouraged to apply. So we wanted to, again, help as many people
Yeah.
as we possibly could. And we have the ability, which is one of the many things that I think is so lovely about Musicares, but that even if somebody doesn't exactly meet that eligibility, but there's a need, particularly if it's related to a medical situation or an addiction issue, and we have the ability to provide compassionate grants.
Sure.
Too. So it may be that they're not quite there, or it's an extenuating circumstance, or how they define music industry is not right, not completely within the realm of what we do. Because we want to be charitable. We want to help people when they're in need.
Yeah. And I was telling Robin, you a little bit earlier, we were talking about what Musicares is. I was giving you kind of my little spiel about Musicares.
He was.
And it's more than just substance use and mental health. It's dental. It's whatever eye care, right? Whatever that healthcare need is.
Right. Whatever I like to say, life pothole that an individual may hit,
There you go.
we help bridge that gap over that experience. So it could be lost or stolen instruments, to natural disasters, to addiction and mental health support, which that's obviously of utmost importance to us right now, because there's certainly a higher propensity for those type of struggles at the moment. But general financial needs too. So if somebody could, for example, be working in their yard and fall off a ladder and break their leg, and they're no longer, or were not able to tour prior to the pandemic, we can help them with living expenses while they recover, or
Yep.
medical expenses.
Yep.
Dental needs and medical costs too are a big part of what we do.
Yeah.
And we do so with confidentiality. That's very important to us because we realize that when somebody is struggling, reaching out can be so difficult in general.
Absolutely.
And so we want to be able to let people know and assure them that when they call us, we will keep that private, and that it's between us. So therefore, they can reach out to us with confidence and know that we'll keep that private.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, going back to talking about substance abuse and then going back to March of 2020, I remember in March being here in Houston, it hadn't hit like it had in New York or Los Angeles, and my little brain, it's like, okay, hopefully this is going to be like, is this as bad as we think it is? And then a friend of yours and a friend of mine died of COVID, and that's Neil Lasher.
That just gave me chills when you said his name.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
What a loss that was, huh?
Oh, tremendous loss. I mean, Neil had been a supporter of ours for decades and was one of the first people backstage at our Safe Harbor rooms, which are clean and sober rooms at major music award shows and festivals. And without Neil there, it really wasn't a Safe Harbor room because he was the face behind that. And his beautiful partner, Jill. And seeing his face, seeing and knowing Neil dedicated his life to helping people with addiction issues. And I had just seen him during the Grammys.
Yeah.
And then I had heard he was sick, and he passed away so quickly. And he was, unfortunately, one of many people that I know by name who lost their lives due to COVID. But that, you're right, that certainly hit home how profoundly serious this was, because I was a little bit like you. We were stuck in Colorado.
Yeah.
We weren't really stuck in Colorado. We were in Colorado. And then my husband said, do we need to come back? And I said, well, worst case scenario, we drive if the flights are shut down. But then the whole world just stopped so abruptly.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Neil being at you seeing him at the Grammys, I didn't get to go to the Grammys last year. But I remember watching it from home, and this is how significant he is I don't remember who was performing on the circle, but he was standing next to them in the audience. Do you remember that? And I was like, there's Neil Lasher. It was.
I think it was Lady Gaga, and that performance was so amazing. And then there was Neil.
And there was Neil right there, and everybody was texting, and it was so funny. But yeah, what a loss, Robin.
No, I just love to hear some more stories because everyone loves stories. Like, what are some of your favorite stories? You've been doing this a long time.
Favorite stories, gosh, the stories around Musicares. Musicares is such a beautiful organization. And I'll say one of the things that attracted me to Musicares on the front end was just this notion of an entity that takes care of its own.
Yeah.
And particularly a group of people that are so incredibly giving and loving and supportive of one another. That also shows in spades through the support that we received through the pandemic. Yet, music people are just lovely. Many lovely people out there, but I realized very quickly what a unique group of individuals they were. And when I was first hired by Musicares, I was not really seriously interested in the position. I had young twins at home and didn't want to work full time. Wasn't sure I wanted to work for a charity, and I certainly didn't want to travel.
Right.
So I, little did I know that I would land a dream job. That I say I won the life lottery when I was able to work for Musicares. I will always say that because again, it's an organization with a mission. And in terms of, I'm not answering your question, but in terms of stories, I'm trying to think of, the stories that hit home the most. And this is maybe won't be as profound to your listeners, but they are the everyday stories of the you and I's of the world who have an issue or have a struggle, and they call you a year down the road, or they call you several months down the road and say, oh my gosh, what you did for me was life-changing. You saved my life.
Yeah.
which I wish we could take credit for that. We don't. I often say that is very kind, and we didn't save your life. You saved your life, but we were the catalyst to help get you to the support that you needed. And you all do that work every day as well. And some of the, I mean, I'm thinking one individual in particular that we recently worked with together who couldn't be more lovely.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the trauma and challenges that this person has faced, and to see the joy and the life and just
Yeah.
all that he has today. Those are the stories that are so amazing.
They are. I completely agree, and those are also the stories that remind me why I do what I do every day.
Yeah.
It is because of people like him, and what an honor to work with him.
Oh,
And
gosh, he has so much joy. I mean,
Yes.
just pure joy in life.
yeah, you know,
Beautiful human.
yeah. And I hope it's okay if I talk about this for a second, but the way in which providers work with Musicares, right, is they will call, whether it's a dentist or me or whomever, and say, we have a particular client that needs your skill set, and would you do this? And it's basically at a scholarship fee, and which is, yes or no, can you do this? And we think you're the person that would be able to help this person. And it's part of us giving back. But for all the providers out there listening that are amazing providers in this industry, is that, working with these people is such an amazing, whether again it's a janitor or a bus driver or whomever it is in the music industry, they're artists by nature, no matter what they do in the music industry,
Right,
because
right.
it's their
They
passion.
have a craft.
And it just gives me this peace going, I love working with this industry, right?
Aw.
Because they're such amazing artists and such amazing, again, no matter what they do within the industry, they're amazing.
Yeah, and so grateful, too.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being with someone who's so grateful. He was baking for us, remember? He baked. He
I
Brought
love
chocolate
homemade,
chip
He
cookies.
baked homemade things for us. I mean, it was lovely.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Tell us how, what was the impetus for Musicares and what group of people, if there was a group of people, how did Musicares come about?
There was a group of people. The story is that after Woody Herman, who was a legendary jazz artist,
Oh, yeah.
died virtually homeless and alone, a group of music executives and artists got together and said, this is a tragedy. We cannot allow people who have given so much to the world through their craft to die destitute. And a lot of, I hear this often, but that people have this perception that musicians are all wealthy. And or if you're a guitar player for a well-known musician, you've got to be making a really significant income. And the reality behind that is that's not the case.
Yeah.
And that music people don't have those safety net benefits that most other professions have. They don't have a 401k account.
Right.
They don't have insurance coverage. They're independent contractors. And if anything happens, where they lose their job, they lose all of their livelihood. So they're a very vulnerable population.
Yeah.
And the average musician makes between $25,000 and $35,000 a year.
Wow.
So when you think about all of the people that perform in restaurants, and and some people perform for a beer and a burger, which is horrible, form of livelihood as well. But yet, that craft within music people, it's an innate, born, something that they cannot not do. If they don't work in music. That's something that's unfathomable for them.
Yeah.
So hence that's what we do, and hence why Musicares was started in the first place. I mean, I said to somebody recently, or I've said this before in the past, say, so, what would be deemed a success for Musicares? And I said, success for Musicares would be when we are no longer needed as a foundation.
Right.
That the support for people is there, and they have what they need to live a life through this craft and through this industry. So it would be a lovely day when Musicares is no longer needed.
It will indeed. Exactly. Yeah. thank you for telling that story. I knew there was a story to the beginning of Musicares, and obviously comes out of a need. You guys are also answering really the call around the world for diversification, right? Tell us about your new president.
Oh, yeah.
Harvey Mason Jr., who is amazing.
Yeah.
He has been at the helm for, many, many months, and had publicly let everyone know that he really wasn't interested in the job. And so it was a surprise to all of us when he agreed. And he is a lovely man and an amazing leader. And so I think it's a very bright moment for Musicares. In addition, we now have a new leader with Musicares, who is Laura Segura, who was with the Recording Academy prior in member services. And she's a very talented, very tenacious, smart, strong female, and we're thrilled to have her as well. So,
that's so cool.
We've got some lovely new leadership within the Academy.
That's great. Yep. Headed in the right direction, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a new huge focus on the LGBTQ community and the Black community, and so changes in the air, huh?
Changes is in the air, and I will say this, that we have always based our foundation on we are there for everyone. Mm-hmm. We're there to support everyone, and I kept saying, well, we do support everyone. Mm-hmm. Yet I also we've realized through the past several months that we haven't been as purposeful and intentional about or strategic about how we reach underserved populations. Mm-hmm. And so we can say we're inclusive of all, but if some folks are not, or different populations are not feeling that we're doing that, or not feeling like that we're approachable or we're trustworthy, then we're not doing our job as a foundation. And so we've really, Laura's really helped kind of emphasize that fact. And so it's been eye-opening for me, quite honestly, that feeling as inclusive as I feel like I am, but yet I've learned a lot over the past several months. We've hired some consultants internally to take a look at our policies and how we approach our work, and are we being inclusive in our messaging? Also, how are we approaching clients? And we're now, again, much more strategic about the offerings that we have for underserved populations. And it's been really fun to see that for us to be moving the needle in that regard. We made a promise to the Black music community that we would double our activations within this year from what we did in the previous year. Wow. And I'm proud to say I'm running some stats for a board meeting, but we well exceeded that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, which is great. And hearing from communities that typically maybe don't have as much of a voice is also lovely. We've added 3 new groups for women, the Black music community, and also the LGBTQ community as well. So that are, again, just their different needs and different issues different communities have to face, and we want to make sure that we address all of those. So
absolutely, that's so amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Couple more quick questions before we run out of time.
One big question that I have, because again, I'm learning as we go along here, being fairly new to J Flowers. How did the underserved find you? How does that work?
Have they in the past?
How did they find you, Musicares?
Or really anyone.
Anyone, really.
Anyone in need of help in the industry.
Yeah, how did they find you?
For the most part, prior to this past year, we've had a lot of our scale and growth has been word of mouth, which is not necessarily the smartest marketing tool. But yet we have a new marketing team on board, which is helping us in that regard. We're hiring a firm to help us with marketing. We have a new PR firm as well. So we're certainly amping up our messaging so people know that we're there if they need us.
Right.
We also realized several years ago, when we were mainly responding to disasters and challenges that people were having, we weren't doing much in the prevention world. So we then began interfacing again backstage at festivals or events or freestanding events with our community. We got out from behind our desks and began offering hearing protection or safe harbor rooms, which are clean and sober rooms, or various different dental clinics. We've had dental clinics in union spaces,
Yeah.
which is
Oh.
unique. But
Yeah.
yet, there's a huge need for that. We found that that our preventative services are utilized so quickly that we'll offer a dental clinic, for example, and within a matter of minutes, it's full to
Wow.
capacity. So there's a supply and demand issue. So we're constantly looking for new providers who are willing to work with us and help us get the care that our folks are needing.
You bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So is Person of the Year going to happen this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
We're excited. Yes. Music on a Mission was wonderfully successful. We raised over $2 million with that
Amazing.
first year.
Oh, wow.
Incredible. But yet there's a lot of energy around Person of the Year. I know there are going to be some changes, but yet I think the general and overall flair of that event will be there.
Good.
It's I'm a little biased, but I think it's one of the best events during Grammy Week.
It's one of the funnest for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Good. I'm so glad that that's coming back in some capacity anyway. Yeah.
It is. It will be back.
Good.
We're excited about that as well.
What advice would you guys give to someone who's on the road, who's trying to maintain their sobriety?
Thankfully, there are a lot of, and Dr. Flowers, I'm sure you can address this as well, but there are online platforms of support. We can connect people with therapists. We've also been known to bring meetings to folks if their profile is such that they can't really leave a venue to go
Sure.
take in a meeting. There's sober coaches. We can connect people if they let us know their tour schedule. We can connect them with sober people in the different tour stops that can either just again take them to a meeting or just provide support.
Nice.
So, and I know many artists now, thankfully, are very focused on supporting people in their crew that are sober. There's some tours that are completely sober, which
Yeah.
is lovely.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would nothing really to add to that. I think that they do an amazing job supporting recovery within the venues, outside of the venues, and connecting
That's awesome.
people in recovery with other people in recovery to support them along their tour.
That's great that they have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we have to wrap this up because
Yeah.
we've got our 2-minute warning here. But what are your thoughts on understanding the human condition? What does that mean to you?
Oh, goodness. The human condition is so varied and beautifully unique, and that, understand it. People intrigue me. I think that was another reason why I got into this field, and people's stories intrigue me, but people don't have to be defined by their stories.
Yeah.
And understanding the human condition, gosh, I should have thought about this before this
No, that
call.
is all right.
Is really going deep and understanding and getting to know people on a deep level versus the surface of what is perceived.
For sure.
That we all have struggles. We all have mental health challenges. Their life traumas that happen to all of us, and being willing to again lean in to getting to know people and providing support and being curious to find out what their stories are, to just help one another along the way. I think
Yeah.
that's something we all do that a little bit better, that the human condition would certainly be a little healthier. I would hope so.
Well, I would say that's a home run on the way you describe what the
Yeah,
human
right?
condition is. So you think quick on your
good
feet as well.
Well, thank you. It's like,
Home
I know,
run.
yeah. It's like, what? Yeah.
Certainly.
Debbie, thank you so much for taking time. I know how busy you are, especially right now with the world going on as it is, and we love supporting you guys, and thank you for the support you give to so many people around the world.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you for the work that you two do, and this has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
This 30 minutes went by very quickly.
It did,
I
didn't
always
it?
tell people it just
Yeah.
passes so fast. Yeah.
And what's the best way for our audience to reach Musicares?
The best way is through our website, which is musicares.org. We have a variety of different avenues to reach us on that website, but please, I'll quickly also say that we have just announced our final phase of COVID relief. So if there's a music person who's tuning in who could utilize some support, there's an online application for that. It's a very simple process. And then we're issuing checks directly to clients, which is a little bit different than what we're doing. So
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That is
strongly encourage people who need us
Yeah.
reach out in that way.
So musicares.org.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. We'll send people there too. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And Dr. Flowers, if they're trying to reach J. Flowers, how do they reach you?
Same thing. jflowershealth.com, I think, is the easiest way to reach us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Very
Thank
much.
you so much.
So good
We
to
know
see
how
you.
busy you are.
Hope
We
to
really
see you
appreciate
soon.
it. Thank you.
Great to see you
All right.
both. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And I'd like to remind everyone watching or listening to us that there are numerous platforms to find our podcast: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Please share this episode on social media or with someone that you think it would help. Thank you. And we want to remind you that a clear diagnosis is the key to the most effective treatment possible. See you next week, everybody.
See you later. Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about my bronchitis.
No, you sound terrific.
Aw,
Thank you.
Fun. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye, guys.
thank
Bye-bye.
you.